Hello, my name is Mary Dixon, and today I'm going to be talking about the different viewpoints of legalizing marijuana and why I think it is wrong. I am on the opposing side of legalizing marijuana in Indiana, and I am going to be discussing that today. I do believe that marijuana could be legalized. I think it should be legalized for medical reasons, such as people with terminal illness and maybe people with seizures, but other use rather than that, I think it has no use being distributed, manufactured, anything being used. So I'm going to discuss some of those things with you today. So I'm going to go to my first slide here. I'm going to talk about, first things first, marijuana is very controversial. There's many people that are for and against marijuana, and like I am kind of on both sides of things. I think it should be legalized for medical reasons, but on the flip side of that, people could turn that into they think that they're sick, so they need medical marijuana, kind of how the opioid situation started. People are just abusing it, and I don't think that that should be allowed. I think that any use rather than medical reasons for people with terminal illnesses, I don't think that it should be allowed, and I think that even if it is allowed for medical reasons, I think there should be very strict rules applying to that, determining what kind of illness the person has, or how their situation is and their past drug experiences and uses. So I'm going to be discussing the opposing sides of the arguments. I'm going to start with the supporters first and then go into what I believe. So the supporters believe possessing marijuana should not be punishable by law or heavy fines. The government wastes far too much money arresting people for possession of marijuana. All states should legalize marijuana and allow it to be sold on retail market, using the generated tax revenue to fund drug awareness and treatment programs. I disagree with that last part about the drug awareness and treatment programs, because if you've ever seen anybody that uses marijuana, religiously, they have some issues that maybe could lead into using other drugs. So I just think that it is a bad idea to legalize it other than medicinal reasons. Opponents, which is what I believe, marijuana is not a harmless drug. Legalizing it would result in a higher usage rate. It has posed serious health problems in the states that allow its use. Encouraging a commercial marijuana market would lead to the same abuses and immoral marketing techniques seen in alcohol and tobacco industries. And I agree with this too, because tobacco and alcohol have side effects of the body, and they can harm the body dramatically, and I think that those things also should not be marketed. So I'm just going to go into my next slide. I'm going to be talking about why marijuana is frowned upon. So we don't know the kind of effects it'll have later down the road. Like any drug that is marketed or newly marketed, we don't know the effects that it has maybe 10, 20 years, 30 years down the road, because it hasn't been around that long. There are many reasons why different drugs are not manufactured, because the FDA has to approve everything, and we don't know how these things will affect our bodies or our immunity or anything. Traffic accidents and deaths have increased where marijuana is legal, and this is a big problem because accidental death is one of the highest reasons for death in the United States, or accidental deaths related to motor vehicle accidents. I think this is very true because whenever under the use or under the influence of marijuana, you are very, your mental function, everything is altered as if you were drunk or, using another kind of drug. So people get into accidents, and I think that if it were legal, that it should be illegal to drive and do this type of thing. And I also want to talk about the use of marijuana in teens. The use of marijuana in teens is very dangerous because the frontal lobe does not fully develop until the age of 25, which the frontal lobe is our decision-making process of the brain. And if we use drugs or anything else, it can alter the development of that. So by the time you're 25, it'll be fully developed, but you'll have not the full function of the frontal lobe. So you'll still be having issues with decision making and such like that, which would possibly cause higher rates of crime because you have no sense of what is right and wrong or what you should and shouldn't do. You kind of just play off of what might make you cool or something like that. Marijuana is harmful to the health of people around them. This is very true. I have seen this firsthand, especially when around children. I know somebody that uses it around their children, and they are not fully developing how they should. They are not, at the developmental level that they should be at. So, I'm going to talk about some of the downsides of marijuana. Once legalized in Colorado, emergency room visits due to marijuana increased by 200%. That is a crazy percentage. Marijuana can cause breathing problems, asthma, bronchitis, upper respiratory tract infections, anxiety, and depression. And some of these things, people that are for marijuana claim that they help if the use of marijuana is done, And also, the use of marijuana can also cause nausea, vomiting, dehydration. I think that's in my next slide, so I'm just going to discuss that next. Yes, people who use marijuana daily may have regular cycles of severe nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, which this is not good for the body whatsoever. Use of marijuana during pregnancy can cause a low birth weight and can affect certain parts of the fetus's brain, because whenever the fetus is developing, their brain is developing at a very fast rate, and we've all heard that the marijuana can kill brain cells, so this is definitely not something that you want for a child or a fetus that is developing a brain in the span of 9 months. And also, the use of marijuana around children can also cause children to have developmental issues, like I explained earlier. And I have a very good statement here. Many people's way of defending marijuana is that it's a plant, and they're saying, oh, well, it's not a drug, it's a plant. Well, tobacco is also a plant, and look at the effects it has on the body. I have a picture inserted here, a picture of marijuana, or a picture of what marijuana does to the lungs. And you see down here is tobacco. And if you think about it, tobacco has a lot of additives like chemicals and stuff in it. And marijuana is not. It's a raw plant. And it causes way more damage than what tobacco causes. So that's something to think about. And here are my references. Thank you.